gonna send me a 40 mile. Everybody that's gonna take my job, gonna put a little sign on it and God be trust. I don't mean to have no fuss. All these little people take a hat off to me because I'm a ragtime millionaire. I'm a rag, I'm a rag, I'm a rag, I'm a ragtime millionaire. All these little people take a hat off to me because I'm a ragtime.
I had little or no opportunity when I started out in life, having been left an orphan and being without mother or father since I was 7 years of age. I married at the age of 14 in order to get a home of my own.
Told me, my mother told me, my mother told me, my mother told me, my mother told me.
Tom Turpin's Rosebud Cafe, headquarters for the city's best ragtime pianist, was open all day and all night. Here, corner honky-tonks and beer eased the sting of hopelessness. Sarah had every reason to be concerned about what Lelia saw and heard when she passed the dives, where female denizens clad in diaphanous wrappers constantly congregate on the street, filling the air with the plaint of bare-faced solicitation and the revolting sounds of lewd profanity. From morning until night, brothels and 10-cent bathhouses hosted a stream of unsavory patrons. Whatever aspirations Sarah had for herself, her hopes for Lelia were even greater. The possibility that her daughter might spend her life either frequenting bars or leaning over a washboard motivated Sarah to work harder. When I was a washerwoman, I was considered a good washerwoman, Sarah often recalled. I am proud of that fact, but work as I would, I seldom could make more than $1.50 a day. I saved enough, though, to put my little girl in a school in Knoxville, Tennessee. St. Paul AME, the Central Baptist Church, and the other large black congregations in St. Louis positioned themselves as straight-laced alternatives to vice and immorality. Jesus was the antidote to failure, and temperance saved all sinners. Inside St. Paul AME, Sarah learned the mannerisms and conversations of local dignitaries and prominent members, especially its doctors, teachers, lawyers, and club women. She quickly took the initiative to create leadership roles for herself by helping those who were now as needy as she had been when she first arrived in St. Louis. Touched by a Post-Dispatch story about an elderly man struggling to support his blind sister and invalid wife, Sarah collected money for the family from her friends. She felt it was her duty to do even more, so she arranged for a pound party, through which means groceries in abundance were given, also a purse of $7.50. No longer the recipient of charity, she had become, in her own small way, a benefactor. I was on the verge of becoming entirely bald and ashamed of the frightful appearance of my hair. Desperate for a solution, I prayed to the Lord for guidance. He answered my prayer. For one night I had a dream, and in that dream a big black man appeared to me and told me what to mix up for my hair. Some of the remedy was from Africa, but I sent for it, mixed it, put it on my scalp, and in a few weeks my hair was coming in faster than it had ever fallen out. After obtaining the same results on my daughter and my neighbors, I made up my mind I would begin to sell it. When I made my discovery, I had no idea of placing it on the market for the benefit of others. I was simply in search of something that would save or restore my own hair. This miraculous concoction was nothing less than an inspiration from God, a heaven-sent gift for me to place in the reach of those who appreciate beautiful hair and healthy scalps, which is the glory of all women. I made up my mind I would begin to sell it. I made up my mind I would begin to sell it. Madam Walker began to travel, to train agents, to sell her products, and she worked up a small mail-order business. In an era when white male factory workers had monthly incomes of $40 to $60, Madam Walker's business was averaging upward of $300. For 18 months, the Walkers traveled throughout the southern United States, systematically canvassing regions densely populated by African Americans. They found an effective routine: contact the local black churches, introduce themselves to the officers of the local black fraternal organizations, arrange a demonstration at a church or a lodge, hold classes to train agents, take orders, move on to the next place. During 1907, her first full year on the road, she took in $3,500, nearly triple her total 1906 earnings. As 1908 closed, Madam Walker had earned more than $6,500 and had trained or treated several hundred Walker agents and customers since leaving Denver. 1909 brought in nearly $9,000. With queries from places as far afield as California and the Caribbean, she created a national and international demand for her products in less than 2 years. Success continued. 1910 brought in nearly $9,000, then $11,000. During the first quarter of 1913, she had already taken in more than $11,000, the equivalent of nearly $200,000 in today's dollars. Eventually, she took leadership in supporting her own community by making a $1,000 donation to the Indianapolis YMCA. If the association can save our boys, our girls will be saved. And that is what I am interested in. Someday, I would like to see a Colored Girls Association started. Walker delivered her most famous defiant and triumphant speech at the National Negro Business League Convention in Chicago in 1912, addressing Tuskegee Institute's Booker T. Washington, among other successful businessmen. I am a woman that came from the cotton fields of the South. I was promoted from there to the wash tub. Then I was promoted to the kitchen, and from there, I promoted myself into the business of manufacturing hair goods and preparations. I am not ashamed of my past. I am not ashamed of my humble beginnings. I know how to grow hair as well as I know how to grow cotton. I have built my own factory on my own ground, 38 by 208 feet. I own my own automobile and runabout. Now, my object in life is not simply to make money for myself, but I love to use a part of what I make in trying to help others.
As I bent over the washboard and looked at my arms buried in soap suds, I said to myself, what are you going to do when you grow old and your back gets stiff? Who is going to take care of your little girl? This set me to thinking. I want to live to help my race, saving black men's bodies and white men's souls. I want to live to help. I am in the business world not for myself alone, but to do all the good I can to uplift my race, saving black men's bodies and white men's souls. I want to live. I am in the business world not for myself alone, but to do all the good I can to uplift my race, saving black men's bodies and white men's souls. I want to live. I am in the business world not for myself alone, but to do all the good I can. I am unlike your white friends who have waited until they were rich and then helped, but have in proportion to my success reached out helping others. Don't sit down and wait for the opportunities to come, but get up and make them. To look to other races for their types of beauty and character. What our girls and women have a right to demand from the best men is that they cease to imitate the artificial standards of other people and create a race standard of their own. I want to live to help my race. Saving black men's bodies. I want to live and white men's souls. Saving black men's bodies. I want to live and white men to help my race. As I bent over the washboard and looked at my arms buried in soap suds, I said to myself, what are you going to do when you grow old and your back gets stiff? Who is going to take care of your little boy? This set me to thinking.
Thank you.
Oh, that was really great. Can everyone hear me that is on the Zoom? Great, awesome. You guys are amazing. Before we get into our Q&A session, I just wanted to tell you all that it was so amazing to see that musical tribute with historical facts on Madam C.J. Walker's life with her great-great-granddaughter, Miss Sylvia Bundles, who we also have today. So amazing. So without further ado, Miss Janina, I'll turn it over to you to bring Miss Bundles in.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you guys so much for having us. I want to acknowledge that this event is part of a community residency here in Detroit that's made possible with support from Chamber Music America, and the participation has been made possible by a generous grant from the Sewell Family Foundation. So we want to really thank them for supporting us to be here today. We are PUBLIQuartet, an improvising string quartet from New York City. And I'm Janina Norpoff, and I'm from Detroit, so I'm really excited to bring this event here, semi-live. And hello to those of you in person, and hello to you watching from home. I'm really pleased to introduce Alelia Bundles, author, biographer of Madam C.J. Walker, also her great-great-granddaughter, and an all-around just brilliant person. So thank you so much for joining us here today, Alelia.
I'm always glad to be with you and PUBLIQuartet. I always feel so inspired and full of gratitude when I see this performance and the great work that you guys are doing.
Amazing. So, Ms. Bundles, I have to ask the dying question first of all. I would like to know, how did this amazing collaboration come about with yourself and the PUBLIQuartet in honor of your great-great-grandmother?
Nick. Nick sent me an email, and Nick, you'll have to remind me, it was like 3-4 or so years ago. And I get a lot of emails from people who are interested in doing things about Madam Walker, but Nick was serious and really devoted and had a ton of talent, and I could see that. And so it just began from there. I mean, he really led the way.
Amazing. So Nick, can I borrow you for a second? Can you give us insight on how you came up with the concept and the vision to reach out to Ms. Bundles to coordinate this beautiful tribute? Uh-oh, is Nick frozen? Uh-oh.
So, I'll say one thing while we're waiting for Nick to get reactivated. Okay. So when my book On Her Own Ground first came out in 2001, my very first public event was right there in that theater at the Charles Wright Museum.
Amazing.
Yes. So we have come full circle.
That is amazing. Okay, if Nick is still frozen, we can actually.
Yeah. Nina. I'll jump in, and Nick had conceptualized this project. We had been experimenting with we have this thing we like to call Mind the Gap, which is where we improvise through different genres and connect different composers, different genres through improvisation. And we were sort of experimenting more with not only doing that, but adding storytelling within that format. And so we were looking for stories that we felt really needed to be shared, were important to be shared. And at least for me too, I really enjoy and look for opportunities where I can share history, and important history that maybe isn't in our mainstream, maybe isn't taught as much as it ought to be, and look for opportunities to tell that through art. So that was sort of part of the inspiration for doing this project. And Nick had done a whole bunch of research. He shared it with the group, and Madam Walker story was on that list, and we really connected to it. And so the next step was actually to reach out to Alelia and see if she would collaborate with us, or at least kind of just mediate the project, or give us feedback. We wanted it to be authentic, and an authentic representation of Madam C.J. Walker's life. So we were really pleased when she got in touch with us. We originally applied for a grant from New Music USA to write the project, and then it was really exciting then when we got the grant, and we're actually able to follow through and work with Lilia and conceptualizing and creating this project, and later bringing it. Now we're able to begin to share it in many different spaces, and hopefully as we continue to return to live performance, we'll be able to perform it. I think we've done more virtual screenings of it at this point than we actually have live performances, but we're looking forward to bringing it back to live stages in the fall and continuing to do so.
The power of technology. So I think viewers may also be intrigued to figure out, how did you guys come up with the ensemble and the music when you were doing your research and coordinating with the historical concepts of Ms. Walker's life?
I could say a little bit about that. It was I'm Hamilton. I'm cellist in the quartet. It was such a blessing to have Alilia's wonderful book as kind of like the authoritative story that we could or kind of a source document that we could draw from. And I feel like as kind of step one for us was that we all read the book and we kind of isolated passages from the book and also quotations from Madam Walker that we resonated with, and we kind of collected all those materials, and then we kind of tried to figure out where that was leading us musically. And so I can say for myself that reading a few quotations attributed to Walker about her early life, that kind of led me in a direction of thinking about some old country blues songs, and there was one in particular called Motherless Child Blues by L.V. Thomas, who's this amazing artist who she and Geeshie Wiley, who is another early blues pioneer, they recorded one album and then they kind of disappeared, but they're just incredible artists. And this song Motherless Child Blues, I just thought it kind of aligned with the facts of Madam Walker's early life. The fact that she was left an orphan and that she had to marry very young, and just like her background of hardship in her early life. So that kind of brought me to that track. And then, as a quartet, we then thought about, okay, how do we make a string quartet version of this song? And then eventually it came full circle where we had Lilia add the narration back in. So that was just one example of kind of how we worked on it.
That is amazing to see the harmony of art and history merge, right? And it's super talented how you guys were able to compose the notes, the words, to get it together in a string format coming from blues, jazz, and other origins. So that is amazing. Ms. Bundles,
Thanks.
I do have a question for you regarding the ensemble. So when you were deciding like how to narrate and what parts to highlight, how did you break that down?
Well, really, these guys wrote the script, and I worked in television news for 30 years, so I'm used to that, to having other people record. So it was a little different to be on this side of the microphone. But Nick and I actually did this in a hotel room in Arlington, Virginia. That was sort of the scratch track. And then when we had the live performance, I was doing it there. But, one of the things that I think, Professor Deering, that's so amazing about PUBLIQuartet is that they all bring their own family history experiences to telling the story. And so there is an authenticity and an affection for history as well as their great talent in music.
Amazing. Oh, so we have Nick back. Hey, Nick, would you like to chime in on your inspiration for reaching out to Ms. Bundles about Madam C.J. Walker's story?
Sure. Can you all hear me? Am I moving?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Yeah, well, as a classical string quartet, we look for grant opportunities, and what makes us unique as a string quartet is that we're an improvising string quartet and a composing string quartet. So we applied for this grant through New Music USA to self-commission a project, a big piece. And as I was doing research to get to know, some of the stories that we might want to tell, this was, I guess, early 2019 at this point. I came across Madam Walker. I saw that her 100th anniversary of her death was that same year. And I didn't know about her. I had no idea who she was. I'd never heard of her. And the more I started researching about her, the more I learned how incredible she was. And quickly decided that this woman's story really needed to be told. And if I could, I would use our platform to tell it. And so we started researching. Alelia's book was an amazing source of information. We listened to a lot of music that would have been played in that time period. And we said, hey, would Alelia like to be a part of this project? And maybe she could narrate. And we saw that she was a fantastic public speaker and had been on TV and all this stuff. So it was literally a cold email. I just said, here's our project. What do you think? And she was awesome.
Amazing. So how long did it take you to compose the music and then set up the narration with Miss Bundles and kind of bring it to life into this great 30-minute tribute?
Sure. Well, the process was pretty messy and pretty experimental. We've never made a piece this large before, especially not with as many layers of live narration and video and backing tracks. So it was a pretty organic process. We had the concept of making this sort of found footage, archival, historic feel to the backing track and the way the video projections looked. And we just started assembling things. And there was a lot of material that got cut, we did not use. And we knew that we wanted to include some powerful quotes that Madam Walker had said in her life. And so we used On Her Own Ground, Alelia's book, for reference. And we sort of rearranged where those quotes were going throughout the process. And really the whole thing came together after the initial vision, I would say, in about 2 months. So it was a really quick turnaround. That's what you get when you put a deadline on. We had a performance coming up, and that was it.
That's pretty impressive. So, Miss Bundles, I have another question for you. So once they kind of showed you the composition of the pieces and the ideas for the narration and the script, what were your immediate thoughts as far as it being a tribute to your great-great-grandmother?
Well, I was just really blown away by what they had done. When you write a book, you put it out there to the world, and you don't know what's going to resonate with people, what they're going to pick up on. And so I was really pleased with the pieces that made sense to them to include. And then when I actually saw the video research they had done with cotton, and then taking that to another level, using that in sort of dissonance sometimes to create an emotion. I was so impressed with the creativity and with the talent that I just felt like I was a little piece of a cog in the wheel, but that they had taken Madam Walker's story to the next level, and with a great deal of respect in telling the story.
Amazing. So I also wanted to bring Curtis in because we've heard from all the amazing public quartet members, and I just wanted to see if you wanted to give us some feedback, your thoughts, and composing and playing a part of the program.
It's just, I was just reflecting on the process as we've had a few talkbacks like this, and I'm just reflective on the process and just grateful for the fact that Alelia graced us with her presence, and it brings, this is a project for us, and it's become more than just a project. We've brought this to Carnegie Hall. We're going to be teaching students how to make projects like this, to younger players, how to help them tell their own stories or stories of people that are important in their communities. We've thought about like, what's the next one going to be? We really want to do story-based projects, and just having Alelia Bundles with us just legitimizes. It's not just a project, you know. It legitimizes the whole. It's like an effort. It's more than just a project. So I really just want to again thank her for just taking the time to be with us.
Amazing. So we do have some audience members here that was able to view it live with us, and I wanted to see if they wanted to give you guys some feedback or ask any questions. Would you guys like to chime in? It's okay. They said they thought it was excellent. Any other comments? Do you have any questions you want to ask? No pressure. I wanted to keep them engaged too because we appreciate their time. So, Miss Bundles, I have to admit that I definitely saw the Netflix special, the four-part special with Octavia Spencer on Madam C.J. Walker's life, and it personally gave me more background and more history on how important her entrepreneurship, her leadership skills, and the challenges she conquered were. So, I know you watched that, and I'm sure you had some participation in that. And I wanted to ask you, when we were coming into the composition with this amazing piece, what were your thoughts of connecting like her story on Netflix with this amazing piece that we just witnessed?
So, my book, On Her Own Ground, was the nonfiction inspiration for the very fictionalized Netflix series. And Octavia Spencer was fabulous. And I loved the scenes with her recruiting the market women. But I would tell you about 80 to 90% of that Netflix series is not historically accurate. So, it was very entertaining, but I'm hoping that I get to do some other versions that will be more accurate about Madam Walker. So I have to say that PUBLIQuartet captured Madam Walker more accurately. So I really loved being able to work with them.
That's awesome. So I'm glad you said that because that was going to be my next question as far as accuracy and fact versus fiction. So having said that, are you guys thinking of doing maybe a part two or an additional composition together between the PUBLIQuartet and yourself, Miss Bundles, highlighting even more aspects of Madam Walker's life? Because I know there's so many.
Well, so before you guys say anything, I think that this will stand on its own. And what I know, as I've come to know some of the members of PUBLIQuartet, again, they have some very interesting family stories of their own. So Janine, I don't know if you all are going to do anything on your grandfather, but I mean, there's so many stories and so many people who sort of deserve to have their stories told. And I think to reach an audience with this string quartet, with chamber music, with things that people may not necessarily associate with some of the historical figures, but the combination of blues and jazz and classical music, that's something Madam Walker herself loved. She loved all of those forms of music. But anyway, I think you guys have some of your own fascinating stories. And then there's this whole array of people who need their stories told.
Would you like to chime in, Janina?
Sure. So actually, some of the photos that were actually used in our video are from my family's archive, and there's very interesting and poignant stories on both sides of my Black family. My dad's side, both his father and his mother. That I'm only really starting to wrap my brain around how extraordinary they truly are. And one of them is my great grandmother who owned a hair salon in New York City. And I wonder whether she would have come in contact with Madam Walker, or whether they knew each other, because she was running a hair salon in Brooklyn that was catering to other Black women. She was also an outstanding entrepreneur, which was super rare as a Black woman during that time to both own and run a business. She also owned about 4 houses in Bedford-Stuyvesant and a funeral home. so that's pretty extraordinary for that period of time. And my grandfather, her great grandson, went to Howard, became a doctor, was a doctor in World War II. So there's a lot of stories on that side of the family. And my grandmother, his wife, grew up in Stevensville, Mississippi, which is a town that is named after my grandmother. She was Bessie Stevens. She had 7 sisters, and it is a town that was founded because their family was, I think, the only Black family in Mississippi who had a cotton gin, and so they built family wealth on that. And it's one of the few surviving Black cities that survived the KKK. In most cities were harassed and burned down or whatever, what have you. So it's pretty extraordinary. My family still owns land down there in Stevensville, Mississippi. And still, there's so many stories my grandmother didn't want to talk about or didn't share. So I don't know, maybe Ellie will give me some guidance in doing that kind of research down there. But again, I think that's close to where Madam Walker would have started her story, just on the other side of the Mississippi River there. So so some connections there for sure. But we used some photos that my great grandfather had taken in New York. He was an amateur photographer, and he took pictures of the Brooklyn Bridge and many scenes in New York, old trains that we used within the video for reflections. So
that's amazing to have access to that level of history to help with your compositions and future compositions that you guys will do. I definitely look forward to seeing more, and I'm sure our viewers and our followers do as well. So, did you want to tell us more about the next program you have streaming so viewers can chime back in?
absolutely. So can I quickly just say a few words also about the music that you heard today on this program? I think Nick was mentioning earlier that a lot of it is inspired by things that that Alelia had written in the book that Madam Walker would have been listening to, Tom Turpin and Ragtime. Hamilton mentioned L.V. Thomas, The Motherless Child Blues, which is what we open with. Actually, we open with Tom Turpin and St. Louis Rag. Then there's L.V. Thomas. There's Mozart in there. There's also Scott Joplin. There's Fats Waller, a sort of version that we kind of recreated to reflect the strength of Madam Walker. Fats Waller's Honeysuckle Rose. We kind of turned it around and renamed it Pavement Pounding Rose, and kind of remixed it in a way with some of Madam Walker's quotes. And it closes with Sister Rosetta Tharpe, My Journey to the Sky. So I just wanted to since we don't have a program, I just wanted to acknowledge some of the music that you heard during the broadcast today. So, and then if you want to join us, if you enjoyed this, you can join us again. We're presenting a different program this coming Saturday at the same time at noon, and then there'll be a broadcast at 6 o'clock. And we're playing some of our string quartet repertoire. It's from a program called What is American, which is actually going to be our next album. And it really highlights a lot of music it highlights a lot of music and culture within the African-American community, starting with spirituals, which inspired Czechoslovakian composer Antonín Dvořák. And we improvised through his American string quartet and all of these different styles that really represent the Black community. So everything from the spirituals that inspired those melodies themselves to blues, to kind of jazz and hip hop and rock and roll, all of these different stylings that we kind of infuse into our improvisations and that. So then we're also doing
a new improv that we just wrote called that's based on Ida Cox's "Wild Women Don't Have the Blues," and that takes 4 songs by wild women, but really just incredibly independent, forward-thinking feminist women. So Tina Turner, Betty Davis, Alice Coltrane, and finally Addie Cox. So we'll be improvising on that. There's also a couple of songs by Ornette Coleman and what else is on there? Somebody help me. Get a little repeat of the Fats Waller / PQ. And so join us. It's going to be a super fun program. And, you get another chance to watch some free music from home.
Awesome. So yes, that streams Saturday, August 28th. And we're so thankful for you sharing your talents with us. So if people want to follow you, is the website exactly the name of the group?
Yes, we are PUBLIQuartet.com. We're also on Facebook /PUBLIQuartet and Instagram at PUBLIQuartet on Instagram. So please do follow us there and keep up with us. And thanks again to you and the Wright Museum for hosting us today. And thanks, Aurelia, for joining us. And thank you to Chamber Music America for making this all possible.
Thank you. And Ms. Bundles, thank you. And where can everyone purchase your amazing book?
So my website is aleliabundles.com, ALELIA bundles.com. And I have to say, with PUBLIQuartet, they have a really clever spelling, PUBLIQUARTET. So no C in there.
Right.
PUBLIQuartet.
Right. The Q replaces the C. It's merged together. You are correct. Thank you so much for your time, for sharing your great-great-grandmother's story and history with us. We really appreciate you on behalf of the Wright Museum.
Thank you.
Thank you.